Union level 30 is one of the most important things that you need to focus on Wuthering Waves. Besides the usual increased rewards every 10 levels, you will also unlock 5-star echoes and co-op mode. Basically speaking, Union level 30 is where the repetitive grinding cycle begins. While you probably have a lot of resources from all the exploration and quests, if you don't take care, you will run out of resources and stall your progression. This video will work as a follow-up of my beginner's guide video, but mostly focused on the Union level 30 and above progression. I will also give you more details on Echo substats and my approach to rolling so you can avoid wasting too much resources for little to no return. Alright, so before we begin, there's two things that you should keep in mind. The first one is that currently, Hologram Boss Fights and the Tower of Adversity is the endgame content. I'll give more info about these two activities later in the video. The second one is that Wuthering Waves is 100% a skill-based game, meaning that even with optimal echoes, you need to learn mechanics and rotations. Even if you had luck on your rolls or swiped your credit card, this will not guarantee that you'll be able to finish all of the endgame content. There's even videos of the main characters and 4-star characters clearing holograms at difficulty 4 and above. And I'm not talking only about dungeon, by the way. So your very first priority should be defining your team and your main characters that you want to build. Starting from level 40, you notice that upgrading characters requires specific materials and increased experience. So avoid spending those materials in characters that you don't plan to use. For example, if you're planning to face the Tower of Adversity as soon as possible, you will need at least 3 DPS characters. As a general guideline, your team should have one main DPS and at least one sub DPS. Your main DPS is going to be the character that takes the most field time, while also dealing a lot of damage. Here are some examples of characters that can fill this hole: Dungeon, Jian, Havoc Rover, Tisha, and many others. For the second slot, you should be looking for a sub DPS. Your sub DPS will both fill the gaps and usually boost your main DPS. That boost is usually achieved by gathering Concentrator energy and switching to your main DPS, so they can benefit from your sub DPS auto skill. For example, Sanhua will give the next character a basic attack deepen buff, meaning that characters who use a lot of basic attacks will benefit from Sanhua. Other examples include Modify with Have Attack, Dungeon with Havoc damage, and Jianxing with Liberation damage. For your final slot, you have two options. It can be a support character, usually a healer, but also another sub DPS. But in this case, I would recommend you to look for sub DPS who can deal off-field damage, meaning that even if they are into the field, they still increase your total damage output. Verena can fill both of these aspects thanks to her Liberation. Faizi is also a healer and a free character. Morphe and Yuan can deal off-field damage thanks to coordinated attacks. Using all of this information, you can build teams like Havoc Rover, Sanhua, and Faizi, which is a completely free team. If you're looking for an upgrade, you have Havoc Rover, Dungeon, and Verena. If you build for Jian, you can go for Jian, Morphe, and Verena. Once you have an idea about who you're going to build, you should start focusing on leveling up your Resonator level, your weapon level, Fortis, and then min-maxing echoes. Resonator level and weapon levels is really straightforward. Always try to keep them in your current maximum level. Fortis should be leveled as needed, but I would recommend leaving the higher cost ones for later because they can cost a lot of wave plates to farm. Lastly, we have echoes. While they are definitely important for your character, they also take a lot of resources because of how much RNG is involved in getting good echoes. If you're looking for main stats and sets, you can pretty much farm as much as you can, since echo farming doesn't require wave plates. The problem starts when you're trying to roll for substats. You get one substats every 5 echo levels, but the cost increases based on echo rarity and echo level. While of course 5-star echoes have better stats, if you happen to already have a good 4-star echo with great substats, it's probably going to be more than enough while you're upgrading other characters and farming echoes. Also, tuners are specific for HE rarity of echo, meaning that you can only use gold ones on 5-star echoes, purple for the 4-star echoes, and blue for the 3-star echoes. As I said before, every 5 levels you unlock a substats slot. By consuming tuners, you can generate a random substats for your echo. Currently, these are the possible substats that you can get: HP, defense, and attack, both in flat and percentual variations, crit rate, crit damage, energy regen, basic attack, heavy attack, skill, and liberation damage bonus. You can't get duplicate substats, but you can get your main stat as a substat. For example, this Dreamless Echo has crit damage both on main stats and substats. The value of a substat is also randomized, meaning that you can get the same substat on different echoes, but with different values. As usual, what you should focus depends on the character that you are using. For DPS, crit rate, crit damage, and your main status are always welcome, but more specific bonuses will vary depending on your character. For example, Havoc Rover highly benefits from basic attack bonus. Gian, on the other hand, should aim to get heavy attack bonus. Burst DPS will probably benefit from skill and liberation damage bonus. Energy regen is also a great stat to have on any character. When farming and trying to get a better echo, what I usually do is to level up my echo slowly. First up to level 10 and then roll 2 substats. If I got 2 bad substats here and I already have another piece that I'm using, I stop upgrading and will look for another echo. This way, I can save some experience for other echoes and avoid waiting for wave plate regeneration just to farm tasted fields. I'll be honest, echo progression is a little bit rough. I understand why you can't use level 0 echoes as food for experience, because the way that the system works would mean that you could farm echo experience as long as your time permits. But echo tuners have no reason to not be upgradable. If you're going to use 5-star echoes for the rest of the game, why should I keep my 4-star tuners in my inventory? On the other hand, you can get access to 5-star echoes early in the game, especially if you compare it to some other gacha games. You can farm echoes exploring the map with a lower chance of dropping, but I still feel that they should change the wave plate cost to 40. 60 wave plates for what's going to be the same drop chance of Star Rail planar ornaments feels a little bit too much. And what about you? Did you reach Union level 30 already? If you did, what you're thinking about the tasted field farm? Leave a comment down below. Alright, so I was finishing editing this video and Kuro Games just decided they were going to make a huge, this is like a really huge dev post about the 1.0 version and how they are going to deal with some things in the future. The main point here is this point here. Echo development feels grindy and inadequate energy materials. This is exactly what I was complaining about in the video, about how grindy things feel. Since they decided to post this, I just had to put this on the video, right? I'm not going to talk about the other points. I will leave the link down in the description so you can read the full dev notes. We're going to get better rewards in the future. And for now, they are going to have a limited time event. We're going to get double echo materials. They're also looking for a waveplate storage system. I don't know how it's going to look. It could be the same way as Genshin, which is not exactly a storage system, but you can kind of consume your resin in the game to make a specific item that you can use later. Or it could be something like Star Rail. Gets your whole stamina that should be capping and put in another pot with a lower rate of regeneration. Anyway, that's it. We're going back to the video right now. Alright, so we talk about team compositions, echoes, general build advice, and progression past Union level 30. Now, let's speak a bit about the current endgame activities that you will find. Hologram Boss Fights are really simple. You just have to defeat the boss in under than 5 minutes. Reward is one time only, meaning that after you clear it, there's almost no reason for you to do it again. As for the Tower Diversity, if you ever played Genshin or Star Rail, it's the same thing as Spiral Beast and Memory of Chaos. For those who haven't played, it's a high-level content that keeps rotating every few days. Every rotation, you get some new effects that impact to your gameplay and can benefit some of your characters. The reason why you need 3 DPS characters for the Tower Diversity is because once you reach the last zone, there are going to be 3 towers. Each tower requires a total of 10 Vigor, and each character has a total of 10 points of Vigor. Vigor is shared between all the towers in a zone, but it's not shared between zones. While you can clear floor using less than 3 characters, you definitely need a main DPS for each tower. Supports and sub DPS can be used as needed. You can also reset your clear in any floor to recover your character Vigor, but keep in mind that this also removes your points for the floor you cleared. Oh, and before I forget, the first 2 zones have a one-time rewards, while the Hazard Zone resets every rotation. This means that if you're looking to farm Astrite, you should do your best to reach the Hazard Zone as soon as possible. And that concludes the video. To sum it up, Union level 30 is a huge step in your progression, but it's also where the progression is going to slow down. If you're looking for Astrites, try to beat at least 2 teams so you can try the Hazard Zone in the Tower Diversity. Remember that the endgame will need at least 3 DPS characters. And finally, take your time. It's completely normal for gacha games to have this sort of wall in your progression. Remember to give a like on the video if you like the content. Consider subscribing as well. As always, thanks for watching and have a beautiful day.